Dylan, it is just before Valentine's Day, baby.
Woo! It's the season of love.
It is the season of love, and Dylan, we're starting a new tradition here.
Yeah.
At the podcast. You know, for too long, we've tried to come up with like, ooh, what's the Valentine's Day episode this year? And I think that this is now officially the week where we work our way through something that I love so dearly, which is, of course, the Netflix cinematic Christmas universe. And in order to do that, we had to start where it all began, right? Like, I'm sure that they made some Christmas movies before this one, but for whatever reason, The Christmas Prince became a minor sensation the year it came out, of people being like, you watching this Christmas Prince thing? And then they quickly made 2 more sequels every Christmas after that.
Well, I figured that was the case when like the movie ended, and then I heard some like someone stirring some scotch, and I'm like, what the fuck? And there was Sam Jackson, like,
yeah.
You ready to fuck shit up, bros? At the end of this movie.
Yeah, I got a thing called the Christmas Initiative.
Yeah. The prince and the woman were like, what the fuck?
Oh, no.
Well,
no,
I was completely honest with you when I texted you this morning.
You thought that this was one of the Vanessa Hudgens
100%.
ones.
I was like, wait a minute. I thought that she was the star of this
no, she is the star
universe.
she's the star of The Night Before Christmas and the Princess Switch movies.
Okay, same universe?
Same universe. Well, sort of, because in the first Princess Switch,
yeah,
which that's just a classic Prince and Pauper story at Christmas time, basically.
Yeah.
But she sits down, the imposter Vanessa Hudgens sits down with the guy that's her male friend that's clearly in love with the real Vanessa Hudgens. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, babe, I knew you had a bad day, so I put on your favorite movie. And they look at the screen, and it's The Christmas Prince, which...
So it might not be as much a universe as it is like Halloween being shown in Halloween 3?
But yes and no,
okay.
Because... spoiler alert for the Princess Switch.
Nobody
in one of the
fucking
movies,
cares about spoilers.
In one of the movies, she gets married, and the King and Queen of Aldovia are in the like royal ceremony. So,
do they interact?
No, they're just in the background, like as a little Easter egg.
That's so weird.
And like The Night Before Christmas mentions the Kingdom of Aldovia. They find ways to like tie these all back to Aldovia.
I mean, I have to assume they were all being filmed like around the same time, maybe.
Well, no, it was. I mean, yes and no, because they all came out like a year from each other.
Okay.
So I think it was that this was a hit.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, everyone loves The Christmas Prince. We just got to make as many references to it in all of our other like medieval Christmas rom-com movies that we're going to work on.
It's so fucking weird that like this was the one. Because I'm not saying this was bad, but there was nothing to me, and we'll get into it, that made it stand out more than
any Hallmark movie.
That's the same fucking thing. It's the same movie.
But
I've seen this before.
Here's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Right? This is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Hallmark has become this punchline with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people make fun of the Hallmark movie. Many people, myself included, who had never really watched one, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't understand. I certainly didn't understand how just like
it's a warm blanket.
Feel good. How warm blanket and feel
yeah.
good it was. And like, you have to have especially in 2018, you had to have a cable provider to even watch the Hallmark movies.
Yep.
But everybody in 2018 had Netflix, right?
Okay.
So I think that it wasn't the quality of the film or anything. I think it was just that everyone had Netflix, and there was this new Christmas movie on Netflix that provided that exact same Hallmark warm blanket. So like the cord cutters who didn't have Hallmark anymore, this scratched a very specific itch for them.
Yeah.
And people like me who had never watched a Hallmark movie got hooked to exactly what the appeal of a Hallmark movie is.
Okay.
So I think it was literally just out of the overall necessity of its existence.
So this
you know
was
what I mean?
like your appreciation of Hallmark movies then.
Oh, I've only seen one. I've seen the one that you had us watch for the show. That's the only Hallmark movie
But like,
I've ever
you
watched.
understand that this is this is just that.
Oh,
movie.
that's 100%, and that's the thing. I get sucked into all of the Netflix
Hell
ones
yeah.
now because it's easy access. So I watch this, and like this is a yearly watch for me now. Like I
That's
watched the
incredible.
whole Princess Chris trilogy because it is a warm blanket. When I hit play on this and that like Christmas song kicked on, I was just like, I'm feeling it, man. I know that it's
the first
February
song that
normally.
was very obviously like public domain Christmas.
Yeah,
like,
but still,
instrumental.
But I was like, I'm just
and the
into
fake
this.
snow, I love it. I love when these movies do this shit. When you're like, you're watching them, but deep down in your heart, you're like, this shit was shot in June. Like,
Oh yeah, so what I will say about this particular movie and this
Yeah.
whole franchise, honestly, the Christmas Prince trilogy to me lacks the fun self-awareness of the other ones. The Vanessa Hudgens ones have more self-awareness to me.
Yeah.
And there's one line in this whole movie that I wrote down, like, this is the comedy that I associate with like the Princess Switch, is when she's on the phone at the end of the movie with her dad and she's in the airport and she's just like, of course, the secret plans are inside the wooden acorn that she was supposed to get for Christmas. And the dad just goes, honey, you kind of lost me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that's the type of like
That shit
self-awareness
was
that's in the other
so
movies.
Funny. This whole thing was hilarious because I watch it through that lens. I have seen a lot of those movies.
Yeah.
And I enjoy a lot of those movies. I'm not usually sitting down and watching them. They're usually on in the background while I'm doing other things. But watching it through that lens, it's one of those things where you're like sitting there and you're just kind of like checking off a checklist. Like you're just going down the line. You're like, all right, bratty kid who's not going to like the new woman. Oh, this time it's the guy's sister. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's also disabled. All right.
Not the actress though, which is a real interesting thing for her to play for 3 straight movies.
Wow, I did not know that. That is
I
very
looked it up.
interesting.
I looked it up. I was like, I don't think this actress is actually disabled. And like that's such a minor plot point for the character. Ultimately, like it doesn't need to really be there.
Yeah.
So it's very strange.
I am excited
It's
to watch the follow-ups though, because they're going in a direction that I'm not used to. Like I'm always so used to.
Oh, they kiss and then that's the end. You
and
don't
I'm
see what
glad
happens
that
after
this
that.
movie it did have that. Here's the other girl, but that wasn't the essential plot.
No,
really.
These movies and the Princess Switch movies have this element where there is no issue that lasts more than about 10 minutes.
I love it.
In any of these
love
movies.
it.
And I'll tell you this much. So Princess Switch, we're going to talk about Princess Switch for 1 second because I do think that this is fucking hilarious. Is the concept of Princess Switch is that Vanessa Hudgens plays a woman from a small town bakery who goes for this like royal baking contest, and the princess of this royal family looks exactly like her.
Yeah. I'm
And it's,
assuming
like I
both
said-
played by Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah, both played by Vanessa Hudgens, and they just do a classic Prince and Pauper. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see what life is like as a common person. You get to be a princess for a week or whatever. So then the sequel, they introduce that there's an identical cousin to the princess, also played by Vanessa Hudgens. And there's a whole other switch circumstance where they have to do a switch for a separate reason, but then simultaneously, unknowns to the cousin who doesn't realize that they've switched, she tries to switch places with her cousin to take the throne type situation. And it's like this is like an hour of plot building up to it. And like the second that she shows up at the castle and is a dick, everyone's like, oh, well, clearly that's the cousin.
Oh, good.
like there's like no point in the movie where anyone buys what's happened. It's so funny to me how they don't care. Like they're like, we're not going to waste time on this nonsense drama. Like that is how all of these movies are.
What's the timeline here? When do we get to the princess or the Christmas Switch
listen,
movies?
if you start to get hooked enough, maybe we'll have to do more than one a year.
Well, I thought
Like,
you
it's-
said we're doing the universe. You didn't say we're just going through the Christmas Prince. You said the Netflix Christmas cinematic universe. So I need a timeline.
Well, it's the 3 Christmas princes in a row.
So those happened in a row.
Then
Okay.
then the night before Christmas. as like a middle ground, and then the Princess Switch.
Okay, so I don't need to pull up like a
next
wiki page to follow along with what's going
No,
on.
no. They just did them in blocks and made like references
Sweet.
to the other movies throughout.
I
Yeah,
don't need
no,
to be
you're
like, all right,
golden.
and you need to watch 3 fucking TV shows that are on Hulu
Yeah,
now.
No, this is how we wished that the MCU was.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of young adult novels?
Have you ever wondered the stories behind the people who wrote your favorite young adult novels?
Then join author Eric J. Brown
And Alyssa Lube of Netflix's The Circle.
every other Tuesday on YAOK.
Available on all podcasting apps.
Woo!
Something that is truly phenomenal in these movies to me
Yeah.
is the over-the-top acting. It's like top tier.
Yeah.
And like people that come to mind are our main character Amber's gay coworker, who just seems to scream every line
Yep.
that he has to deliver. Every line is full volume.
Yes.
But also there's throwaway characters like the guys sitting at the counter at her dad's restaurant who are just like, this is the best pie in New York. It's like everything is so outrageous. I love it.
I also love the non-advice that her father gives every time
Oh,
they
all
talk.
the time.
It's so
Nothing.
fucking funny.
He's just spitballing. And I think that's like what I find so charming about this movie is that so the premise is that she is a reporter and she's being sent to the kingdom of Aldovia, which, look, we can make fun of this movie all the time, all day long. But if you and I found out that there was a Christmas kingdom that was Christmas 24/7, we'd fucking be there. We would get passports. We would legally change our citizenship to be Aldovians. Like, we're all in on that.
So this was
But
shot
she's-
in Romania, and like this entire movie did just make me go, fuck, I want to go to Romania.
Yeah,
Looks
I mean
beautiful.
it looks really pretty. The basic gist is that the king has died a year ago, and after 1 year, if a
I'm sorry.
successor,
Sorry. There's a big reveal at the end of this movie that makes no sense that nobody knew
No
this
sense.
at this point.
yeah, that's fine. But yes, the king dies, and the prince should become king.
Yes.
He has a year to like say no, I don't want the throne, and then it will be given to his cousin. Which I do love that this movie is just dunking on the shittiness of a male bloodline only monarch. Like, hell yeah. I really do like the character of Princess Emily. I think that is a very she acts it well.
Yep.
She's charming, and the relationship between her and Amber is actually really sweet, and I enjoy it quite a bit in this movie. Amber is sent out there to get the news. She's got to be like the boots on the ground when this guy says, I don't want the throne, to get like an article written right away.
Yeah.
But the giant press event that she goes to ends up falling through. So she's like trying to snoop around to get some news, and just on a total dumb luck wings it that she's the tutor that came 2 weeks early. Just they're like, story checks out. You knew that we were going to have a tutor, I guess.
So a few questions here. Number
No
one,
background check, no ID looked at, nothing.
where's the tutor that they actually hired?
They were expecting a tutor at the start of the new year, and it's the week before
okay.
Christmas.
All right.
So she's
cool.
like,
That's
I
right.
showed up 2 weeks early,
That's
I
right,
guess. Because
that's
the
right.
tutor does show up, right? That's how they find out that she's a
No.
fraud. I thought, the tutor never shows
I don't
up. You're
think
right.
she
'cause
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we don't get to New Year's.
We don't get to New Year's till the end.
Well, they would have to pay another person to be in this
And
movie.
the other question is, at some point, I don't know if it's her boss or it was one of her friends. She says to them, "Isn't this really illegal?" And I'm like, "Yeah, motherfucker! Like, you were gonna get shot!" Like,
well, what I love also in this is, again, talking about the relationship between her and Emily, is I love that Emily like very quickly is like, this girl's full of shit, but she's making it fun around here, so I'm just gonna go with this. Like,
I also
and
think
she
it's-
tells her, she's like, I'm aware that you are not who you say you
and
are.
it's funny that she's the only one that can figure it out until the jealous ex-girlfriend or possibly current girlfriend who really just wants to marry in the family because she wants to be part of the royal family.
Yeah, these movies remind me that the entire concept of royal families is so stupid.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. Why do we care about any of this?
That's like this fucking cousin is like, you shall address me as your highness. And I'd be like, fuck off. Like, who are you? I don't know you.
Yeah, eat a dick, sir.
Yeah. This is how you introduce yourself, you fucker. So we get to the end, and basically it has been discovered that our main character, the prince, is adopted.
Is adopted.
Yes.
He's adopted, which means that he's not part of the bloodline.
Yeah.
Which means he can't be king.
To which I say, is that still a fucking thing? Like,
I don't know. But
I don't know if this has ever happened. But there are people that would argue this shit too. There are so many people out there right now. It's the same people that speak out against. I'm not super into the royal family. But what is her name? Megan,
yeah, Meghan Markle.
Who speak out against her because, like, she took away the prince or whatever. It's the same people. No, he's got to be blood. I'm like, that's really weird. Like that.
Yeah, it's all weird. It's all stupid. So Amber stumbles upon a lot of happenstance in this. The prince just happens to have the dad's journal that happens to have the entry that he wrote the day before he died that happens to be all of the like last pieces of clue, as if he knew he was going to die before he could give.
That's what I'm saying. So if he's about to die, okay, and he knows the law, why are you hiding this thing that's going to determine whether your son can...
He didn't want to ruin the Christmas surprise.
He's like, I'm going to fucking hide this, and hopefully you find it.
I'm going to leave a cryptic-ass diary entry to direct you to this wooden acorn with a very twist-offable top.
Yes. Instead of just being like, son, in my dying days, I want to tell you, you're adopted, but we love you as if you were our own son. And I'm changing the law. You can be fucking the king now. like that makes more sense than, all right, I'm going to hide this piece of paper over here. Yeah. Hopefully they find it. But if they don't, I guess shit happens, you know?
Look, but I do have to make a confession, Dylan.
Yeah.
My eyes started to water up a little bit when he was reading out the letter that his dad left.
You're not kidding, man. I was there with you.
I was like, son of a bitch, when he's just like, he's not just someone I love because he's my son, but because of his character and his kindness.
And he's like, he's choking up too.
And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, man, if my dad said shit like that to me, I would be... he's holding it together better than I would. I'd be weeping.
Do you ever watch... So like... I love my parents to death. I do. But my parents were never like the touchy-feely, lovey people.
My mom, yes. My dad, absolutely not.
Neither honestly.
I had to really break down the walls on... That was I broke down those walls when I started going to therapy.
Yeah.
And I mentioned how I felt. And my therapist was just like, have you considered addressing that with your dad? I don't think he would like knowing that you don't feel as like loved by him because of that. And I was like, no, I can't do that. He goes, yeah, you can. And then I just told him, I was like, hey, Dad, like, I just wish you said I love you out loud a little bit more. Like, I kind of need that. And now he ends every phone call with I love you. And like all it took was just being like, hey, Dad, this would really mean a lot to me if you did this.
I love it.
So go to therapy and talk to your parents.
I don't say they don't tell me that they love me. I'm more just like, we never had that kind of relationship. And it's kind of like, I always see movies that have that, like that have this at the end. And I was like, listen, we both love each other very much, but I just don't see that ever happening.
I couldn't not see my dad somehow getting one last joke in on his dying breath.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna hide this thing that's gonna prevent him from being the fucking king in this acorn.
No, he'd be like, I'm gonna hide this thing in an acorn. It's just gonna say, go on a diet, fatso.
Also, I like your cousin more.
Yeah, I love Dad. dear, learn to be manly. Love father.
I'm thankful. Thank you for introducing the Christmas Princess or the Christmas Prince cinematic universe to me.
Show some respect there. So the only other thing that I wrote down that I have to mention, is I wrote down two things that reminded me of other movies or things. First off, I am almost positive that this archery scene with Emily and the prince is just ripped right from the first episode of Game of Thrones. I'm like almost positive that that Arya Arya shows up and does better archery than her brothers, her older brother.
I guess. I feel like that the people that were in this movie were just like, I don't know, archery's British. Like that's what they can be doing. Or like archery's European. Sorry, British people. I don't know.
And then the other note I wrote down that made me laugh was I just wrote, oh shit, it's like the Grey out there when she was like on her like capsized snow trip and all the wolves came out together. It's like
I do like that the movie wasn't set up to have the queen be an awful person. Like to have her
everyone's
mother
great, dude.
Be bad.
When there's that great scene where you think that she's gonna like really unleash on her for like
ride.
About the toboggan ride, and then she's just like, "Don't you dare not invite me the next time you go." This is like, this fucking bitch loves a toboggan ride. How could you?
And at the end, the one woman's like, "Have her arrested." And she's like, "Bitch, you ain't the fucking queen yet. Shut the fuck up. I'm the fucking queen." Go ahead, darling.
Oh,
Speak.
Shit. Yeah.
She rules. I want her to stay alive. Fuck this prince.
Well, Dylan,
Yeah.
you're my Christmas prince.
Oh, you're my Christmas princess.
Whoa, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holly, have a great holly, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.